Now, the map looks like a record of things unseen, even from a distance. Assuming an average eye span of 5 miles either side of the white line, that still leaves a vast expanse of terra invisa. In the early days, we travelled to particular areas, and then, by ever more circuitous routes, to particular periods. Gentle cycling for weeks on end gave the scrolling landscapes a binocular intensity and deepened the journey's fourth dimension. The gathering and sorting of precise local information in preparation for each journey always took longer than the journey itself. With their amnesia-inducing blur of facts and dates, general histories soon proved no more useful than small-scale maps, which depict only major roads and railway lines. I longed for the authors of those histories to leave the express train at any randomly chosen spot, to engage with a native, living or dead, to share an enigmatic meal, to ponder inexplicably relevant minor details, and especially to ask more questions. Eventually, everything sounded so familiar that it was hard to believe that this was the real past. I imagined the existence of a French history kit, which allowed serviceable examples of the genre to be swiftly assembled. In the rush to reach the chosen terminus, entire provinces and populations were erased by speed, and one place looked much like another. Physical geography was often absent, left to some other dimension or discipline. Some histories of France never strayed beyond the outer boulevards of Paris, except when driven out by war. In one case, women were sectioned off and dealt with in a framed box. Each period lived in strict chronological lockdown and was permitted to interact only with itself and its immediate neighbours. The Discovery of France, 2007, described the charting and colonising of France from the Revolution to the First World War. This, only slightly longer book, spanning nearly 10 times as many years, demanded a more symphonic or operatic arrangement. I looked for a closer match of experience and history, knowing how much otherwise unmemorable information can adhere to one intimate encounter with a person or a place. The marshalling of historical data is unthinkable without conventions and some recognizable uniformity, but it is a sad adventure that offers no hope of getting lost. Sooner or later, the data takes on the characteristics of its uniform. In this rigid state, it can serve as the raw material of propaganda or a politician's speech. Tactical deviations from the prevailing forms of presentation can then impart an air of suspect foreignness to historical truths. The identity papers and luggage labels of any outlandish or seemingly delusive details can be inspected in the notes and references in the accompanying PDF. Along with primary documents in the languages of Gaul, Francia, Occitania, and France, scholarly studies of specific events and people are the foundation of this book. Scholarship provides the authors of general histories with well-made roads to the past. It also reveals the unfathomable voids on either side of the carriageway, and conveys that thrilling sense of ignorance which gives exploration its raison d'être. Previously. The history of France begins like the crackle of a wireless, or the flickering of a film strip so decayed that it is hard to tell whether this is supposed to be an adventure story or a record of events which actually took place. A man dressed in a lion skin is driving a herd of cattle across a plain. Behind him, the pyrocumulus clouds of a forest fire or the fogs of a distant ocean are billowing over a jagged range of mountains. As he strides along with the sun in his eyes, the skies darken, and the scene is obliterated by a hail of stones. When daylight returns, that scarred footage from the Iron Age shows the unmistakable sight of the pebble-strewn plain of the Crau and the Rhone at its delta spreading out into the Mediterranean. To the Greek and Roman writers who recorded the fragments of a Gaulish